Indeed Parents.
I'm Shari Thasco.
And I'm Demi Constantine.
We are your Saturday Night Ladies. So SNL 51 has concluded, which I think was an excellent season, even better than season 50, in my humble opinion. We are into the summer where there's no regular SNL to watch. We're going to be going to every 2 weeks, alternate with We Hard Hater. So you'll get content from Wacky Notion Productions every week, but just from 2 different podcasts, since we have not been able to. So we're going to spend the next bit of time talking about SNL UK, which I thought was so excellent. I'm very glad it's here. I'm very glad it's coming back. In general, ladies, what are your feelings on, from what you've seen, of SNL UK?
I am a big fan. I've only seen the first couple of episodes, but I am looking forward to watching more. I'm very impressed. I think it's very, very much got its own voice, and hopefully it will become a standard fare there. I feel like it's not getting the viewers they'd like it to, but hopefully it will build an audience.
I enjoy it so much, though I think the writing's so tight. I think the performances are so tight. I'm just such a big fan that I find myself, whenever something big happens with the royal family or something in the UK or in England, I'm just like, oh, what's SNL UK going to say about that? And I can't wait for them to come back.
They have been renewed for 12 episodes starting in September, which is awesome. And I just love the different take of a sense of humor. There are some bits that are familiar through the US SNL, but there's still just enough to make it different that it's in their own voice. It's a big dumb cup. Put on your big dumb hat, and let's talk about SNL UK. The cold open, starting with 3 of the, yes, we are female-centered, opinionated podcasts, but we also appreciate the male people. Male people, that's a stupid word. But these are 3 of the big stars from the male side of the cast. George Fouracres, who has made quite a name for himself, and Jack Shep, another breakout star. I love how this categorizes the relationship between the UK and the US as like a dysfunctional relationship. It works so well on so many levels, especially the one where Keir Starmer says, I still don't know him like I do. I think I can change him, which is something we've all heard from various people, things they don't want to be a part of anymore. Well, I didn't quite know who Keir Starmer was, but I recognized, okay, he's the leader of the country. How accurate this impression is, I can't really say, but it's very entertaining about he just doesn't want to go through too much pressure. He says, congratulations for doing the bare minimum. Is so classic. So right out the gate, I think SNL UK really sets their political humor, and bringing in Shep as the Gen Z advisor works on so many levels, especially his line reading of, and I'm currently a gay.
I think, and I know I've heard it on several podcasts because I watched a lot of SNL podcasts or listened to. Just the fact that they seem to have the cold open mastered. They can do the political cold open in a very biting, satiric way that I feel like we've lost. We're getting it back, but it's not as sharp as it has been in previous decades. I'm hoping that they'll inspire us, get the claws out a bit. I was impressed with this. I don't know how close they are because I haven't read up on my English politics. I felt like, yeah, this was really very, very pointed. I love the whole Gen Z perspective. And yeah, I enjoyed the way all 3 worked together in the sketch. They obviously picked 11 people that really complement each other. And we'll talk more about that. But yeah, thumbs up for me. Great way to start the first episode.
I really enjoyed it. I also enjoy a little bit of the feeling off balance when you see the SNL UK cold open with the Union Jack behind them and not the American flag. Like, I'm so used to that it's like, whoa, it's like almost like Bizarro World, and I really like that because it's a whole different set of everything, but it's close enough that I think I understand what they're talking about most of the time. George Fouracres' take on Keir Starmer is so funny because he doesn't have a whole lot of character. Like, he doesn't have any like mannerisms to grab onto or skewer really. So, and like it was viewed as kind of a victory for the center left when he was elected. So I think George Fouracres playing him as a kind of a fence sitter who's trying to do the right thing is still funny but accurate. So I think that's a really hard needle to thread, and they did it because they're not trying to be like mean and not trying to expose him as a buffoon, but more so as someone who's not very committal, which is what I've kind of observed reading a little bit about, negotiations and foreign policy and stuff. That's still a thing with the UK, especially with Iran. So I thought that was a really clever way. Hamed Animashan, he is great. As soon as he came out and said something as like a very like forceful, someone who knows what's actually going on, advisor to Keir Starmer, was so enjoyable. And when the Gen Z person came in and likened the foreign policy to a
situationship,
yes, thought he was a great foil. Jack Shep was also a great foil to George Foraker's Keir Starmer. So when I saw this, I was like, ooh, they're cooking with gas over at SNL UK. I can't wait to see what's next.
To help connect the bridge between regular SNL and SNL UK, our host is Tina Fey, which is, I feel, a very smart thing to do, taking over at the official handoff, like the passing of the torch, like they do in the Olympics. I did love the monologue. First, the fact that you can actually swear on SNL UK. Not that they want to make it a crutch, of course, but it's kind of nice to have that freedom. But throughout the series, they haven't really gone over the top with that. And in some cases, it helped make the sketch better. Nicola Coughlan, as an Irish person, we're part of the Commonwealth, educate yourself. And then you got Michael Cera going through the same thing. But you're Canadian, yeah, we're part of the Commonwealth. Educate yourself. And then when you have Graham Norton coming in, because they're using Graham Norton Studio, it was a really nice capper on things. One comment from Tina regarding, I can't understand a word of anything that anyone says. A very solid monologue from Tina Fey to start us out.
Yeah, this was a great monologue. I'm very happy that they chose Tina to be kind of the ambassador. I could tell she was having a grand time. And then when she showed up on SNL US for the Five Timers sketch, I love that she had that Paddington. So I love that they're connecting the two, really making it clear that they're like siblings. I think that's really cool. This was very funny. I liked Michael Cera. I liked Nicola. I liked Graham Norton. I thought the whole thing was very clever. Definitely excellent monologue. I enjoyed it very much. And I love Tina, so I was delighted to see her.
Yeah, highlight, excellent bridge, excellent passing of the baton. Favorite part for me was when she was going through all the British shows and quoting them, doing like a different voice. And like, I haven't watched all of them, obviously, but I've watched some of them. Benny Hill, Keeping Up Appearances, Monty Python. I was like, yeah, really cute way to pay homage and also highlight the fact that there's a reason why she's there, but she's definitely not fully immersed, but it was really respectful, and I enjoyed it.
Especially being in Canada, we're exposed to a lot more British television. So I do remember Keep Up Appearances, Faulty Towers, Are You Being Served? One that a lot of people don't remember on the buses, Doctor in the House, Yes Minister, and that sequel series, Yes Prime Minister. I'm not sure how Sky works, if they actually have commercials throughout the whole thing. I know it's a paid service, so it's very interesting how they transition between, they would go to like either an SNL commercial, an actual commercial, and then have the first sketch. So instead of we'll be right back, it's watch this. The very first SNL UK commercial called Under Oz, a age-defying makeup that makes people think that your boyfriend is a nonce. And here we have our first British slang that not everyone will get, is apparently nonce is equivalent to what we call a P-file. I'm not going to say the full name on here. First one where they have the cop basically plowing down Patty and always have that flame. This is actually my wife. This is not a young girl. Beautifully filmed. Great showcase for all the ladies and some of the guys, because it's a very indicative of those kinds of commercials with the white background and all the women being all like nice and confident. So I thought that this commercial worked extremely well.
Agreed. This was totally shades of here in the States, Oil of Olay, Noxzema, all of those wonderful moisturizers that they're always claiming are going to make you years and years younger. And this is Pet Olay. So there you go, Oil of Olay. So definitely a comparison there. Here in the U.S., I think in the States, but I think it's everywhere. Everybody wants to be younger. And I love the play here. And I love the use of the cast. It was just perfect. It looked like a real ad. I got complete buy-in from the very beginning.
And yeah, I think it's been brought up before, but the way SNL UK, I watched them all on Peacock the next day, and they all go straight into cold open and then monologue and then straight into an ad parody. And it's so 90s SNL to go straight with an ad parody. It makes me so happy. I love it. I think it would have been funnier if they put actual children as the wives, but I don't think you could possibly ever do that in 2026. So this was really funny, and it really played on the themes that Tina Fey's been talking about for like 20 years now, that every woman has a shelf life in Hollywood, and everyone wants to be younger, and that's like a tongue-in-cheek joke, but it's not, but it's a joke, but it's not. She had to have been a part of writing this. It's a really nice encapsulation of current political tensions, because I guess they do make the thing like go get apprehended by a bunch of right-wingers because they're on like pedophile watch, which is like very in line with like, I don't know how that fits into America, because it seems we don't care about that anymore, but that's a sidebar. But this was just really well shot, really well choreographed, excellent use of Tina, the host, and the rest of the cast. Everyone's looking their best, except for the guys, so appropriate and hilarious.
Looking at the final caption underneath, especially when they reveal the company behind it is Pete-O-Lay. No guarantee of your husband being arrested, although he certainly will be questioned, possibly have his hard drive seized for forensic inspection. And also very reminiscent of things like Nuva Bling.
I love those commercials so much.
Tampons made by Republicans. Tampon farm later on. Yeah, that was so great. The official first sketch, David Attenborough's Last Supper. I loved how he introduced his Still Circling the Drain. Just recently, Richard Attenborough celebrating his 100th birthday. What they've done is, if you're familiar with Clone High, it's kind of a similar kind of thing where they've taken DNA of famous historical people, cloned them, but the clones will only last for one day so they can have this Last Supper, but everyone is so fixated on what to order, what starters to order. Do we want to do starters on nibbles, and also the fact that who's paying for this? David Attenborough is played by George Fouracres. Winston Churchill, who I have not seen on screen yet, is played by Alan Nash. Sir Isaac Newton, played by Celeste String. I love that little bit she does with it's like she put her hand up like she's got ducks like an apple's falling on her. Absolutely brilliant. Mary Seacole, Ayuradi Babinyoye, one of the best subtle bits of comedy. Jack Shep as Princess Diana. My God, from what I've seen, she's a very kind of quiet, shy, demure person. Just from one little look up, he completely captures the spirit of Princess Diana. Not many lines, he just conveys so much. So this is why Jack Shep is a really good star of this. Then we have Agatha Christie, played by Tina Fey. Benjamin Zephaniah, played by Hamed Animashan. Freddie Mercury, another one of my favorites. Ayo. Played by Larry Dean. Queen Elizabeth I, played by Annabelle Marlowe. And Cilla Black by Emma Sid. As they were trying to figure out what they want to order, who's paying for this. The argument over the croquettes is like if we get one or croquettes, some will be less, and there's just won't be enough to go around. So they don't even get to talking about anything. They're just so obsessed with the dinner itself. And of course, the sex party afterwards. But the other favorite of mine was the Freddie Mercury impression, because they took all the little callbacks, things they did at Live Aid. That was all his responses. So epic performance with just so little. Because even though he's not saying very little, he's not saying mostly words, except he does say people in the street at one time, people still know what he's saying.
I thought this was pretty funny. It went out a little bit long. They could have trimmed it up a bit, but for the most part, this was very clever. I think Jack's Diana was definitely the centerpiece, but they all did a nice job. I like Tina's Agatha Christie. There were a couple folks I didn't know, but that was okay. Like Demi has pointed out, we're learning things. We don't need to know everything. We shouldn't know everything. We're not from England. We're not from Scotland. We're not from the UK, etc. So it's good for us to learn new things. So this was a nice way to get a little bit of British pop culture / history. So yeah, this was fun. And the whole cloning thing, definitely in the news. So yeah, I thought this was great. A lot of fun.
If I may just add a little bit onto the Princess Diana, played by Jack Shep, commentary. I did go on an obsessive 6 months where I watched nothing but documentaries on the royal family and Diana specifically, just for the clothes, first of all, just because I remember Princess Diana when she was alive. I know that both of you do, which is why this podcast is so great. I did not realize that there was a camp in England that was not a fan of Princess Diana, that she was too much of a showboat. She wanted attention. She pretended to be shy, but she really wasn't shy. She was outshining the prince, who her husband, who's now the king. There was like a faction that was like, that thought she was doing too much. Even when she did nothing, she was doing too much. Like Diana couldn't win. So I really appreciated the way that they made her look really pretty, even though it was a guy playing her, which is funny. But I thought that he did such a good job of satisfying people that revere Diana to this day and will forever, me included, for so many reasons, but also was not too saccharine about it. So people that maybe were on the fence, who don't remember her as fondly, even I don't know how many people are fitting that category, but the way that he was making like doe eyes and like playing coy with the menu, and then that was like referencing her eating disorder, which she was very open about later on, which in the 90s, actually, when you think about it, that was really kind of a big deal. But I thought they did such a good job skewering her, but still being respectful. I thought it was a really, really tight line to walk, and they did it. And I was very appreciative. So therefore, I was free to be open to the other characters that I maybe did not know. I forget, somebody played someone, and I was like, who? But I don't remember who it was. I didn't know Agatha Christie was British. Maybe I'll think of it later. But I appreciated the sketch very much, and it did not make me pucker up, so I could enjoy it all the way through.
I'm sure this is something that people outside the U.S. also run into with Saturday Night Live. So it's kind of nice to be on that end as well. We were talking about before we started the podcast where there was a mention of something about Canada from a band that you're currently into. And then you asked a whole bunch of questions about Canada, which I find great. So it's, if you want to know about this stuff, consult your local Google and you can actually find out stuff.
Find a Canadian.
Well, I'm right here up in the great sunny lower mainland of BC. Movies goes to the films. This features Hamid as Ed Boovie, who is a film reviewer. So this is a scene of your standard kind of junket interviewing the stars of Hot Streak. Lita Phillips, played by Tina, and Ricky Hall, played by Jack. The thing I love about this, just from the title, when he reveals the title of his show, with a name like Boovie, it's going to be obvious what the name of the show is. But no, it's Boovie Goes to the Films. Like that turn right from the get-go. This is a case where the swearing does benefit the scene. The first thing he says...
Play the lead up. It's so funny.
Let's talk about Hot Streak. I watched this last night. It fucking sucked.
You don't generally hear that in a press junket or anywhere on US TV. So congrats to the graphic design department, because what they had for the movie poster behind them, very well done. I can totally see that in a movie theater somewhere. For every Halle Berry winning an Oscar in Monsters Ball, it's also the same Halle Berry that won the Golden Raspberry for Catwoman. So not every film is going to be successful. Just how utterly offended Ed Boovie is that the fact that why'd you put out this shite film, and them trying to defend it. The way they're twisting things makes so much sense and adds to the comedy. The one thing I did have to question, though, when they did the showing the scene from the movie, that they just did it on a laptop, which seemed kind of weird. I am not quite sure about that, but on the whole, it worked for me.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this. I thought it was funny enough. It definitely felt like a real press junket. And I thought Tina and Jack did a great job, kind of like trying to defend, try not to, be so taken aback when he tells them it fucking sucked. I like their reactions. And, those press junkets are very hard on actors. And you could see that they were pretty exhausted. I like that they built that component into their performance, that exhaustion. And they've probably, I don't know about Jack because he's younger, but Tina's been through these press junkets for years. And they're exhausting. And people do say like some random shit sometimes. So this wasn't that far from the truth. Kind of a slice of life sort of thing. Hamid, of course, steals the whole thing.
I am going to come in here with some reverent tones for that sketch because I lost my mind when that played. I could not believe that, first of all, for him to establish that he's a super fanboy of their work and their franchise and the actors, for him to like really just butter him up, and then for him to come and say, "Well, it fucking sucked." Like he was so disappointed in them. It was so funny because I was not ready for the F word. I did not know that you could say that on British television. So that combined with the setting the stage for that was so funny. And what it was even, I think my favorite part of the sketch was immediately Tina Fey's like, we're sorry. Like, I'm sorry. Because, they make franchises over and over. And by like the fifth one, you're like, okay. So they can get like exhausting. It's exhausting for the actors as well. In these junkets, they have to repeat the same answers to the same questions 50,000 times. So I'm sure it's exhausting. But I just thought this was like, all right, SNL UK, baby, let's do it. I'm in. So I was a huge fan.
Yeah, something that Bill Hader has related about his dislike for junkets, even writing into his show Barry, what they did. And Barry was something that happened in real life. He was in Australia talking about his first dramatic film, The Skeleton Twins. One of the things Bill has asked is, why don't we just do one big press conference? But the idea is to give the impression of exclusivity. But you get the same questions over time. Like when he was talking about It Too, it was like, yes, I read the book. No, I didn't meet Stephen King. So with the Skeleton Twins thing.
So, you try to commit suicide in this film. And, remember that's a big epidemic here in Australia. So can you tell us a bit about it? What you think about suicide? And I was like, oh, well, suicide, it's awful. And, the character, what he's going through, he feels hopeless. And then the guy cut me off and went, we're running out of time real quick. What do you think about Ben Affleck as the new Batman?
I'm sure Bill loved that.
So we go from suicide to Batman. So what they did in Barry in the second episode of season 3, reporter asked, so who do you think they should cast as the new Spider-Man? And the only thing that Sally thought of was Ben Mendelsohn, who is definitely not the type who would be playing Spider-Man. Press junkets are their own little slice of hell because you do get all the same stuff. Next we have is one of my favorite sketches of your episode is Internet Managers. All the people who are trying to make the internet as awful as possible. The pop-ups of Family Guy porn, or you're trying to get an ad off when you're looking at your phone, and you try to making the X so small that you can't really hit it, and then it ends up loading up the ad anyway. The closer was the butcher, where she was just about to click on the link she wanted, and then they make the thing go up, so she clicks on some sort of porn thing. Jack Shep's line about, but I actually do want Family Guy porn, so he actually watches it. Or the, do you get paid for this? It's like, no, do you get paid for what you do? Yeah, we get paid. She's like, oh. So there's just these people running this high-tech operation to annoy people on the internet, but don't get any profit out of it. It's very much a good modern take on what is behind all that stuff with the internet.
This was extremely relatable. Everybody gets frustrated when we click on one thing and we end up with another thing, or you're trying to load something and it breaks up and et cetera and so on. So this was a very good theory about who's behind all this. And it's, again, what a bridge, because that's something that all of us can relate to. I know many countries don't have internet, but a lot of countries can relate to just how unpredictable it is. Very, very funny. They were spot on with the pre-tapes. They felt very real. Like this felt like something you would see as an ad somewhere. So yes, their film units are doing an excellent job.
I thought this was so clever, and I was like, oh, that's not really a thing though. But like every time on my phone, ever since that sketch, I think of it whenever I try to X out an ad. And then I really thought this was a great showcase for Hamed. He has such a presence, even though he looks like a very physically substantial individual. He looks really tall. He has got a really commanding voice. He knows what to do with the space. He just has great timing. I'm like, well, this is this guy's show. Every episode's going to be this guy. Presence is so commanding. Even when he's playing like sheepish or stupid. Like, let me ask you this. You get paid for your job. You're like, yes. He's like, oh, okay. I think he played that so well. A funny concept, well executed. Hamed did, he ran away with it. He made it his sketch. I thought it was fantastic.
So the next one is Fake Ass Diva Baby. So this features Tina Fey as the doctor, Celeste String and George Fouracres as the parents, and Ayowade Bambayoye as a nurse. with Jack Shep as the baby. Believes a woman's baby is only pretending to be shy. So this is a double stage operation where they have the delivery room on one set, and then you have Jack Shep in what's supposed to look like a womb trying to be the baby and be all shy. So just a range that the kind of things, little things that Jack Shep can do, really impressive. The concept of baby pretending to be shy, usually you don't get this much animation out of an ultrasound, but while it wasn't my favorite sketch of the night, I did enjoy all the reactions that Jack Shep did, and as soon as they mentioned karaoke, he was ready to come out.
Yeah, this was probably not high up, but I did like, my big note was, yay, there's females all over this, because there hasn't been as many female-dominated sketches as I would have liked, especially with Tina as the host. But I do think this was funny enough. And as Deech says, Jack's great as the shy baby, and the sets are so cool. I mean, it looks like the womb, but very posh. So yeah, this was very fun visuals, and the cast does a great job. And it's playing again on our love of attention, our seeking, so many of us wanting to be, especially in this world of influencers. Even this baby wants to be an influencer, wants to have attention. So I thought that was a really good comment on that. So yeah, fun enough for sure.
Fun enough for sure. I kind of agree. I'm on the same boat as all you guys, I think. Maybe pretending to be shy in England is like the worst thing you can possibly do. I don't know. That might be like a cultural nuance. Maybe. I don't know. Because in America, I don't think that's as much of a thing anymore. Or maybe I'm just old. But I did really appreciate the way Tina Fey is such an effing pro. She's like, I have my part. I'm in service to the sketch. I'm going to be this very business-like doctor. Even though you might think that she knows that the sketch is not super great, she's such a professional. She like nails her line every time throughout the whole episode, really. Tina Fey is just such a consummate professional, such a comedy professional. There's a reason why they brought her in. She's just a joy to watch, regardless of what she's doing.
We have their version of Weekend Update, and I am right out the gate. Addie Magliano and Patty Young. Absolute perfection. Mind blown. Their delivery, the interaction with each other. Michael Che has done reactions after his jokes. Even Colin Jost has done some as well. The way Patty Young communicates with his eyes and his delivery. Now, I can't remember if this is where the whole BTS thing started. To have this little runner occasional through Weekend Update where they're talking about the K-pop band BTS.
Did the stress of this overstimulate Jimin, causing sunflower spillover and micro-snaps towards Jungkook? And what now? Will these whimsical detours cause the deep thinker RM to become overprotective? And what about the push-pull duo of Sugar and J-Hope? Can Jin be the quiet stabilizer, anchoring Jungkook with micro-bubble maintenance? Or will V use his whimsy shield to offset bubble drift and soften Jimin with mirror gestures? No idea. I've never even heard of BTS.
Their delivery is so great. They work well with each other. They're adorable. And there's so many good things I can say about these two people. And now we may not get all the jokes depending on what kind of things they refer to in their news. But they've added such interesting takes, and they play well off each other. Even those little looks aside that Patty will give, and Anya just reacting and not completely not breaking, but just reacting in pure delight. And we have one correspondent, the first correspondent, played by Al Nash, Captain Birdseye. Now, this caused a lot of confusion over at the Hot Take show over on the Saturday Night Network. People didn't know who Captain Birdseye was because in the U.S., Birdseye is mainly frozen vegetables. Captain Birdseye is the main brand for fish fingers, or fish sticks as we call them in North America, with their mascot Captain Birdseye. They're trying to get him to go in and help with the Iran war. Always goes down to the fish finger thing because I definitely love fish sticks. They're simple, they're crunchy, they're delicious. We have a very similar kind of mascot in Canada for frozen fish manufacturer Highliner. We have Captain Highliner. It has a very similar kind of function as Captain Birdseye. So I have seen this kind of thing before. These two, I mean, you can't get much better than this.
Here, here. I completely agree. The chemistry between the two of them is just spot on. I love the way they volleyed the jokes back and forth. It was just seamless, beautifully done. I loved Captain Birdseye. No, I didn't know exactly who he was, but he reminded me of the Gordon Fisherman, which is the thing over here in the States with our fish patties. And it was very funny. Jack Key did a great job. Al Nash did a great job. He wasn't getting a lot in this episode, so it was good to see him here. I was glad they only had one correspondent. I like multiple correspondents, but I think for the first episode, to keep the focus on the two news anchors was the way to go. As I've discussed before, I was a fan of Anya's going into this because I knew her from a great show that I'm obsessed with called Taskmaster. That is a British panel comedy competition show that's becoming more and more popular here in the US. And her season she was amazing. And so I had high hopes, and she's doing just brilliantly. I was also glad Deech shared some of her stand-up with us. I hope she does a stand-up special that comes over here to the States, because she's an absolute delight. I think she's hilarious. I think she's relatable. And I'm just really happy to see a woman behind the desk.
Same. Patty is just endlessly fascinating. The way he delivers jokes with a little, I know that I'm a rascal, but you love it. I just love him so much. He's so engaging. And Anya already came out the gate with a brand, like I've said before, and I will say forever. Neckties are so cute on women when done correctly. It's kind of hard to screw them up, and she definitely doesn't here. Purple necktie, purple blazer. The lights make her hair look a little bit purple. It's so perfect. It's just, it's unique, but it's also like uniform. So it's like we're professionals here, but we're professional, funny people. Like, it's just, I love it so much. And it fits her brand of like her taking her perspective on things, where she does laugh a little bit when she makes something like she might think is sacrilegious, like making fun of the Pope, I've noticed. But right out the gate, they were really compatible and engaging and very quick. They're very quick. It's such an enjoyable Weekend Update duo to watch. So I can't wait to hear more news from them in series 2.
Another case of things you can't say on U.S. television, but apparently you can't say on UK television. This is a sketch called Cunty Shakespeare. The C word in the States is generally considered an insult, but in places like the British and Australia, they use it as much as fuck is used as well. So just another little cultural thing. This kind of worked, kind of didn't, because while we did have Tina, Annabelle Marlowe, Ayoade, and Larry Dean, fortunately we didn't really have, the only one who really had anything to say was mostly Tina Fey. Yeah, so he first comes back with a cunty little earring, and then he then comes back with a slutty little chain, and then finally small sports shorts, a tote bag that says Team Anne Boleyn. Shakespeare is first played by George Fouracres for the first 2 parts of the scene, and then he comes back as Jack Ship. It worked on some levels. It was a little longer than it could have been. It's kind of nice that everybody's kind of got some screen time, but it would have been better if they were allowed to participate a bit more, not just be window dressing, as it were.
I agree with everything Deej said. This definitely one of my less favorite. It's the first episode. You got to talk about Shakespeare, because that's the one thing most of us know. Shakespeare's from England. So I get why they did it. I did love the slutty little chain line. I think that was my favorite line. And the costuming and the visuals here. You know, the setting was great. The interior of Shakespeare's home. Just the period costuming and Shakespeare's outfits getting more and more ridiculous. Props again to the wonderful hair and makeup department and costuming department, because this was my favorite part. Really was the look of this, and so they did an excellent job with that. I do agree with Deej. The cast didn't really get to say much here. It was really just Tina and the 2 actors who played Shakespeare.
I think this was also Shakespeare, because England, but also I think this was also a take-up Hamnet, which I did not see. This was a direct reference to that too. So I love this so much. I also love that when they tried to describe this on the Lonely Myers and Seth Meyers podcast, they were bleeped constantly because cunt is, you can't say that on United States stuff, I guess. So I kept getting bleeped, but they thought the concept was so funny. When Shakespeare came in with like a big neck ruche, I don't know what those are called. Those are like, that's like the picture of Shakespeare. So for him to come in wearing that
would be called a ruff.
Ruff, thank you. For him to come in with the earring in, and that was funny and so satisfying to a young me who, would look at encyclopedias. It's always the picture of Shakespeare. The visual gag of that was so funny. But this turned out to be when the SNL did their roundtable with, it might have been the Hot Take show with Frankie, who's British. She did not like this because she's an English teacher, I think she said, and it was making a caricature of Shakespeare, and it wasn't the time was not accurate to history. It was not historically accurate. And I can totally understand that. So I will, savor my dumb American take on it, and also recognize that this may have been for Americans, not necessarily for British people. I still really enjoyed it. Not the whole thing. Some parts of it were just like, oh my God, thank you. That's so funny.
Expecting sort of the actor from SNL is kind of a weird concept to me, but perspectives of all, and she's British, so she has her own thing as well, and I totally respect her profession. So next we're on to the other pre-tape, which is called the Paddington Bear Experience. I believe it's kind of a take on what they did with, there's this really awful interactive experience that was put on in England after the Willy Wonka film of Timothée Chalamet came out. How very awful and low rent it was, the Paddington Bear Experience. They couldn't get the person who plays the bear because it's currently a West End musical of Paddington. It was too much money, so the U.S. producer of this actually hired a bear. And this includes, I think, pretty much everybody. We got Anya, Larry, Annabelle, Tina, Jack, Ayawade, Al, George Foraker's, and Hamed. I don't think there's anybody there we've missed. Okay, no Celeste String. No Emma City, it looks like. Destruction. With the exception of the grandmother, was the only one that did not get that. She gets a nice little selfie with him. But this is another great tour de force for the makeup department with all the one interview with the Muhammad's character where half his face was kind of ripped off. This is something that Sarah would love. Weird in a lot of ways, but I can sort of see where someone would try to cut corners. If getting an actual bear is okay, it's not.
Yes, this was a hoot, and there's so many of these live experiences going on. I definitely heard about the Wonka one and what a disaster that was. So this was a great spin on that. Paddington, again, is something that many countries, if not all, are very familiar with Paddington. It's been a popular book for, I don't know, many, many, many years, and everybody loves the movies. So this is very relatable and very funny. And of course, again, the pre-tape, the film units and special effects here. Very convincing. This looked like a real live experience, and it was just spot on. So, being a children's librarian, this was especially resonating for me because I give Paddington, the book, and the movie to patrons all the time. And I think, I don't think our kids would probably enjoy this experience. They might not come out with a limb. but yeah, it gave me a giggle as a youth librarian. I definitely got an extra chuckle out of it.
Really cute. I really like the concept of it. And I thought, again, this was another sketch that was like, anybody could get it, but I think it was especially because Paddington's like a national saint in England, as far as I know. Like, he's had tea with the Queen, and that was like a big deal. So this is like a hollowed cultural symbol. And yes, you're like playing stills to each of people getting covered in blood outside the house, but still smiling. So that's perfect. Really cute, clever, very of the time and place that presented it.
There was one woman who was happy with coming out with less children than she started with.
0. The perfect amount of children, 0.
One of my favorites, the Miss Jugs bra fitting. Emma City. Oh my God, she was the star of this. Someone who has had bra fittings done and who has done bra fittings. When I worked for Torrid, I've never been asked to compliment someone's breast for the surrounds, which was a very interesting turn of phrase. Even though it's very obvious she doesn't have a lot there. Emma City's performance of this was the highlight of the whole sketch, because I could just see where she's just been here for so long. She knows even just trying on clothes or bra fitting can sometimes be a very frustrating experience, because it's very well known that a lot of women are not wearing the right size bra and maybe too shy to get a bra fitting. A nice, funny way to acknowledge about how awkward the thing would be. Great showcase for Emma City.
Emma is the other one I knew because of Taskmaster, and she was an absolute delight on that. And I knew she had great comedic timing, and she's kind of pretty popular there. She's been in a couple of popular British television shows. Sure, she came with some experience, and I was sad I didn't see her more in this episode, but that's okay, because she gets some more time as the season goes on. But she's certainly brilliant here, and Tina is as well. They play together very well. And somebody comes in at the end, some famous, good-looking actor.
Regé-Jean
Yes,
Page.
Regé-Jean Page. And it's taken with Tina, thanks to Jugs promoting her bosoms, her bazooms. So this was a very much of a 10-1, and put a nice cap on the evening, and also a great showcase for the women, who I can never see enough of course. So yeah, I thought this was a perfectly lovely way to kind of round down the night.
Again, I think my favorite thing, because I have never had a bra fitting, I don't really need a bra fitting. My favorite thing about this was, I'm referencing Frankie. She had a lot more points of reference for this, but she thought this was so funny and so accurate. She thought it was so hilarious. Emma is I think this was her debut as a lead, as a main, and she really just she just ran away with it. She did such a masterful job. And Tina, again, props to Tina Fey for just being game for anything and everything to serve the scene, even getting felt up without making it too vaudevillian almost. Just props to Tina and props to Emma. They really just made this sketch what it was.
The final bit is something that has lived rent-free in my head randomly ever since I first heard this. So it's a very brief section called 45 Seconds with 4 Acres. And he's singing a song called "What Kind of Irish is Your Granddad? What kind of Irish is your grand?" Giving examples of various Irish granddads. And it's about as out of left field or out of space that you can definitely get. This is like a 1-to-1, I guess call it a 1-to-1 thing. It's so brief and so wonderful. And then he starts singing an Irish song, so Nicola Coughlan comes back up, and then he was saying something about the dream, and she's totally committing to the bit about, okay, where am I? What am I? It's such a brief thing. I don't know if it was for time fill or just did it for fun, but yeah, we did get this one more time, but I want to see more of these.
Yeah, this was, again, Deej had mentioned that Frankie definitely related to this, because it's very much, where she's from, or very close to where she's from. And I thought it was charming. And George Forakers is a hoot. I'm glad they are giving him his own little corner of the program at the very end. Yeah, this was very clever. And again, it's something I didn't know that much about. So it was fun to see that. It's fun to see this cultural divide and learn from it. So I enjoyed that.
When I saw it live, or not live, but I thought it was cute and quirky. But the reaction it got from people in the UK who watched it made it so much better. A lot like Deej, you think it's the best ever. I was just really impressed with how that hit such a target, such a specific target so well in such a short amount of time for so many people. Even if I didn't really get it at first, I appreciated it. But now that I see how much it resonates with people that really know grandpas like that, that's the most you can ask for from SNL, for it to be culturally relevant to a very specific niche, but still funny to at the surface level to plebes watching, or people that are not informed at that point of view. So yeah, SNL UK, fantastic.
You can even do a variation on that, like what kind of Scot is your granddad, or what kind of Welshman is your granddad. So it's very much relatable. I enjoyed the heck out of SNL UK. Great start. They did have a musical guest called Wet Leg. Another thing that's going to be doing quite a lot is introducing us to new music that we haven't heard before. The music was great. I would say Wet Leg is definitely original. I'll have to take care, but it's good, crunchy, good old rock and roll.
Definitely claps for that.
Female band. So that's something.
You're right. All female band. How can I forget?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Claps for that.
Hey, thank you for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks with episode 2 of SNL UK with Jamie Dornham as the host. Thank you for listening. And now, go forth and find the funny.
Funny is hope.
Saturday Night Ladies is a presentation of Wacky Notion Productions. Hosted by Deeds Behrens, Shari Fesco, and Debbie Constantine. Recorded and edited by Deeds Behrens. Off-week show research by Shari Fesco. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, just email SaturdayNightLadies1978@gmail.com. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.